whatever. Hello. Hello, Barry, Winnie Water here, and right now I'm coming to you from the cold hard floor of my living room. So in this video, I wanted to have just like a genuine chit-chat video with you guys to kind of trace my career path, sort of, and just give you my story, really, like how I became a travel writer in Nairobi in this economy, freelancing, not having to go into an office every day. So let me tell you what I currently do. So first, I write for newspapers. This here is The Nation. I have 2 columns with The Nation, and then I write for the Business Daily every Friday. That's very fun. It's like travel content and a lot of like lifestyle, mostly luxury related stuff. And then I also work for Nomad magazine, which is like pretty much the best travel magazine in East Africa. I mean, yeah. And with Nomad, so I'm the editor right now. Oh, sorry, the light keeps changing. I'm standing in front of my huge glass doors and it's like gloomy sometimes. You know how the weather is in Nairobi right now, so I'm sorry if the light keeps changing. But yeah, let's get on with this video. Yeah, so I've done 3 issues with Nomad. I can't find the 3rd one right now. And one is like based on Watamu. We went on like a 7-day road trip around Watamu. This is the current one. Like, so much fun. Be sure to grab a copy if you can. And then there's this one, which is like Laikipia. We went on like a manic 5-day road trip from like literally one end of Laikipia to the other. It was insane. But yeah, so that's what I do for a living. And then I'm also able to pitch travel content to publications like BBC Travel and like CNN Travel and like National Geographic Travel and all that. So yeah, how did all this get started, and how did I get to the point where I'm able to make a decent living, just traveling the world and getting paid to do it? Where it all started, let me take you back to the base. So growing up, I was one of those girls that like always loved books and loved reading so much, and my parents fed that like hunger to just read, and they gave me like a lot of like English literature and like African literature, and I read like books from China, and I read books from Turkey, and I read like books from all over the world. And I think that's where like just a hunger for like storytelling and that passion developed. And like with being with being an avid reader came the writing. Like as with every craft, writing is an art, and it's something you have to work at. So I think reading is like a good base, like set a foundation for you to be a good writer. So like going on to school, I was one of those people that was like always very good at compositions, you know. I think that's where my love and passion and maybe talent for writing was like honed. And then moving on to the next part, so let's talk about high school. So there are some key things that happened in high school that for me helped me determine that this is what I actually want to do with my life. When I was in Form 2, that's like 2nd year of high school, I was like the editor of our high school magazine, and that was so much fun, like just working with the teacher that was in charge of like the entire project and like creating and curating content from other students and putting together this magazine. And I actually brought my dad on board, and it was like the one publishing it and all that, so it was very much, you know, fun. And I've always had this thing where I've always had this thing with my dad where he's like always pushing me to like pursue whatever it is that I want, and supporting me and giving me the tools to help me achieve whatever it is I'm trying to do. So that was so much fun. And then the second thing that happened is I got an internship at Insider magazine. So if you went to school in Kenya, if you went to high school here, then you definitely heard about the Insider magazine. I think they still exist actually. So it's just like entertainment, musicians, celebrities, gossip, and like just creating content for teenagers, really. So I got to work there. I did an internship there during one of the school holidays, and that was honestly so much fun. And for me, that helped like solidify that, hey, this is what I actually want to do with my life. So another thing that happened is we went to visit KTN. So I went through this phase in high school where I really wanted to become a news anchor. It was like I wanted to become a news anchor. Like I would stand in front of a mirror and like practice, and I would pretend to be reading the news while like just walking down the street and always be watching the news. And then so my teacher, the one who was in charge of the like high school magazine project, so he set up a trip for the journalism club to go and visit KTN. So that was so much fun. I met some of the news anchors that I'd always looked up to. Like I met Sadiq Shaban, who I think was a sports anchor at the time. Was it sports or like human interest features? Not too sure. And then there was Lillian Mooley and Janet Mugo. I always remember Janet Mugo. In fact, I had this little notebook because I also went through a phase where I was like collecting pretty notebooks and pens and like just writing stories in them, you know. So I had a notebook with me, and Janet Mugo signed it up, and she wrote, "Your smile can carry you through the darkest days." And I've always just like remembered that and had that with me. And like even just during the time while we were at like KTN and interacting with all these journalists, I learned that a lot of the people who were doing communications and who work in media in Kenya went to Daystar University. And that's it. Like, I wanted to go to Daystar University, and again, my parents, being the sweet and supportive parents that they are, like, you know, agreed. So I went and signed up and joined Daystar and started doing communication. So when I was in uni, I started blogging as well. I went through phases where like I had this blog that was called like College Sniper, which looking back I think was pretty stupid, but it was actually quite read, you know. So it was just about talking about things that were going on in the university. And then I had another blog. I had a fashion blog, my goodness, called Afro Wata. And I was like a broke college student. I couldn't afford to be going out very often to be buying new fashions, you know. So I wasn't able to sustain that, to be honest, because I mean, if you're a college student, your parents give you a specific budget. My parents didn't even live in the same town. I mean, that was just like a quick backstory to give you like an idea about how all this started and to give you the base. But where my CV starts and where my like story actually really sets root is at a Drum magazine. So when I was in my final year of university, in 4th year, I got a job as a staff writer at Drum magazine, which is owned by Carol Mandy Media, which also owns True Love magazine and Home and Living magazine. So I didn't actually even go to be an intern. They just hired me straight away as a staff writer. That was my first job, and I remember I was earning 35,000 Kenya shillings gross. Like at the end of it, it was coming to about like 28,000 or 30,000 Kenya shillings. And mark you, by the way, I was living alone. I was living in an SQ in Kilimani. The thing is that the Drum office was like right next to where Daystar is. So I got an SQ on I got an SQ on Dennis Pratt Road. So I would walk from the house to work, and then when I had classes, and I ensured most of my classes were in the evening so I could work, because my mom was like, hey, I'm not going to be paying your bills for long. After my classes, I would walk back home. So I mean, just 28,000 sounds like so little right now, but yeah. So then it's while I was working at Drum and writing articles for True Love and all that, that I got to find out how freelance writers were working. And I was like, you mean a freelance writer can literally come in and write like 2 articles and be paid my entire salary for the month? It's like, what am I doing still sitting here every day and coming in and writing for me at that point also felt like it was one of those jobs that didn't really need me to come in and sit in your office every day, you know. I feel like a lot of creative jobs are like that. Like, you don't necessarily need to come in and sit in an office from like morning to evening every single day for you to be able to be productive. Those are some of the things that made me be like, you know what, I don't really want to work a 9-to-5 job. So I quit my job at Drum. So then I had this uncle who was working at the consulate in Dubai. Is that what it's called? He was like the assistant consulate general or something like that in Dubai. It's still there, his term is still running. So it was like, hey, you know what, you can come over and like check out what things are like in Dubai, how people work, what your industry is like here and all that. So I got a 3-month visa and I went there for 3 months, and in that period I was like freelancing for a couple of like publications there that deal in like lifestyle and fashion and like a bit of travel, like city guide type content. And I was able to, you know, make a bit of money doing that, and I wasn't paying rent. I was living in Jumeirah, which is like a really good area. So I was there for 3 months, and then once my visa ran out, I came to Kenya because I didn't really want to be based in Dubai, you know. So I came back to Kenya and I got a job as editor at Yummy magazine, and goodness, that was so much fun. Like, Yummy magazine was some of the most fun I've ever had in like full-time employment in my life, you know. Because I was editing this food magazine, and for Nairobi that required like going to wine tastings and whiskey tastings and constantly getting invites to restaurants and, you know, event launches and things like this, and like sometimes being invited to like travel stuff. And then I was also interacting with people who were already like making it in blogging, because I would organize these like dinners at like set restaurants. And so because I would organize these like dinners and invite a bunch of like social media influencers to come and just like, you know, eat and interact with Yummy Magazine, give us some feedback, and maybe like, you know, create content on their social medias and whatnot, things like that. So it was so much fun. And then it, you know, Eat Out also being a startup, it's like learning just different ways, like dipping your toes in like social media management and in sales and in like being in the editorial team and trying like 1 2 3. So like I just really got to interact with so much in the lifestyle realm and just so many different things. Look at my hands right now, I look like I'm turning like a turntable. But yeah, I got to interact with so many different things in the broader communications realm, you know. And for me, I think that really helped hone down like what I wanted to do. So I remember Eat Out was planning to do a travel magazine, which is Nomad, but they weren't really going to launch it in like they weren't really going to launch it for a bit. It was just like something that was still being planned at the time. So I worked at Eat Out editing Yummy Magazine for like a year and a couple of months. I think it was like 5 months or something, thereabout, not too sure. And yeah, that was so much fun. While working at Eat Out that I started wateronthego.com, my travel blog. And it's also while at working at Eat Out that I really honed my skills and like, you know, again, from just dipping my toes in different departments, like really honed my skills in like blog management and like just how to create my own brand and present myself to like both brands and like an audience, you know. And I just picked up after leaving Yummy, I just picked that up and ran with it. So I was a digital nomad for about a year, you know, just traveling. I remember I went and lived in Lamu, at a very remote island that's like, it's literally the last island on the archipelago that you can stay at before you go into Somalia. So I lived there for a month. I remember I went and lived in Kisumu for some time as well. I went and lived in Diani. I went and lived in Watamu for a bit of time. Like I was a full-on digital nomad and I was creating content for newspapers and some international publications at that point. So I was making money. I'd moved out of my apartment again for the second time, so I didn't really have a base. I was just going and like living in like Diani, getting a place and living there for like a couple of months. And like I was also doing social media management for some different clients as well. So that's how I was able to make a living. And then coming into this year, you know, so it's like that entire journey. It's like coming into this year, this is when things like really fell in place for me. Like I was finally able to, you know, be very serious about what I was doing, like setting up a plan, having savings, setting up objectives, having a schedule, you know, pitching to clients, just being very serious about what I was doing in my business and like streamlining the number of companies I was creating content for. So because I was writing more and working more and treating my freelancing as like an actual real business, it's like, you know, initially when I was starting out, I thought, oh, since I don't really have to go into an office every single day, then I can just take Monday to just bum and not have to work. But it's like, if you're working for yourself and you want to make very good money, then you have to work even like twice or thrice as hard. So that's what I did. And this year it's like things really fell into place. Like my finances were streamlined, and then more jobs kept calling. Like I would get publications or like companies just calling me up like, hey, do you want to come here and like create content for us? You want to come take some photos? You want to come and write some content for this publication? Do you want to come and do content for your social media? You know, I was getting a lot of calls like that. I've been able to work with different brands. And yeah, so like towards April of this year, Nomad came calling. So like when Nomad started, they got an editor, an English girl with like a journalism background called Katrina, and she had done an amazing job on the publication. I really enjoyed reading it before I joined the team as well. And then so she went on maternity leave and they brought me on. And one of the things I was very like straightforward about is that I didn't want a full-on, one of the things I was very straightforward about is that I didn't want a full-on like Monday to Friday situation, you know. So they were flexible enough to be like, as long as you hit your targets and you can come in on maybe 1 to 3 days, and like as long as you do this. So we've been able to formulate a mode of working very plugged into what's going on with the magazine and working on it and traveling for it and creating content for it. And it's something I really love and I'm passionate about, but I also don't have to be there every day. sorry, there's a car passing back there, and I think this camera really picks out like ambient noise, so let me keep that a second. Yeah, so being able to travel for it and curate all this beautiful content that I really love, and I'm working with a team that's amazing, and I think this is a way of working that I enjoy, because it then still gives me the freedom to be able to, you know, still freelance for other publications that I want. As I was editing this video, I just realized that the sound ran out in the last bit of the video, so you didn't really hear what it is that I was saying. It was really good. I was talking about some tips to help you guys who want to be travel writers, or who just want to get published in publications, whatever career it is that you're in, whether you're a doctor or you're like a teacher, but you want to be published in newspapers or even in magazines. I've given some tips that can help you guys, but I've also realized now that it's like an entire video in itself. So if enough people want to see it, maybe I'll do like a whole separate video on it, like tips to help you get published, how to pitch to different publications, how to get noticed by editors. Yeah, let me know if you're interested in seeing that kind of content. If this video gets like at least 50 thumbs ups, I'm going to do a video on that for sure. So give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, click that red button below, turn on post notifications. This is going to be like one of the longest videos I've done on my channel so far. This is going to be about 17 minutes thereabout. I want to see if people actually watch it, and I'm experimenting with this length of like storytime videos to see how this does, because yeah, I want to try new things on this channel and just see how they do. So yeah, subscribe, connect on social media. I'm Water on the Go on Instagram, and yeah, share this on your timeline, share it with your friends, share it with anyone. Especially, I made this video for the younger me. Like, I would have loved to see a video like this when I was younger. Would have made like a lot of the mistakes I made along the way, and like there's certain things I didn't even talk about in this video. A lot of like career mistakes I made along the way, and just like insights that would have been nice to have beforehand, would have made my path a lot maybe smoother or faster or whatever. I don't know, things happened as they did. But yeah, be sure to share it with especially younger people in your life that you think would benefit from seeing a video like this, whether they're writers or photographers or graphic designers or just pursuing a career in the creative field. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.